Hello there and a very good evening. Welcome to another episode of the People's Platform for the Newsfirst team. I am Jayamal Ratnayaka. Today we are going to talk about human capital. As you know, Sri Lanka went through an unprecedented economic crisis last year, leading to an exodus of skilled professionals and also educated persons leaving the country. But we are now slowly and gradually getting back on the right track, and measures are being taken to bring back and incentivize those skilled individuals and also to equip our younger generation of students and citizens to face the world and to help grow our economy in the future. To talk about that and much more from a more state-related perspective, we have in our studios today Shanika Mayadunne. She is the Deputy Director at the Department of Manpower at the Ministry of Labour. Thank you very much, Shanika, for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me today on the show.
Shanika, let's talk about the importance of human capital and what sort of a role the Manpower Department plays within the Ministry of Labour and the functions that it has fulfilled over the years, and also more importantly, how you have responded to the current crisis and the massive gap that is being created by a lot of professionals leaving the country as of late.
Yeah. First of all, again, thank you very much for having me on the show today. Department of Manpower and Employment was established in 2010 through an extraordinary gazette notification, and this was initially functioned under the Ministry of Labour, Labour Relations back then. And the main objective of establishing such a department was to promote employment, employment planning, collection, analysis, and dissemination of labour market information, and carry out career guidance opportunities, career guidance programs. So according to the Gazette, I have Gazette with me, we are mandated to carry out mainly 5 functions. First one is formulation and implementation of the National Manpower and Employment Policy. Second one is employment creation and promotion activities. The third one is conduct career guidance programs, collection, analysis, and dissemination of information of the labour market. And finally, to operate all the functions performed by the Public Employment Service, we call it PES sectors. So the department is now functioning under the Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment. Previously, in the previous government, it was under Ministry of Youth and Sports. That's another problem when the government's changing the everything, getting
the scopes are changed.
That's another major issue in Sri Lanka. But anyway, so at the moment, department is having nearly 500 employees. Most of them are attached to district and divisional secretariat. Yes, including both career guidance officers and human resource development officers. Most of in the main objective, among the main objective of the department, the priority goes to create a world-class or globally competitive workforce. So for that, department is carrying out various programs under the guidance of our Director General, Mrs. Anusha Gokula Fernando. So among these programs, mainly we are doing career guidance or career awareness program targeting school children, and also career seekers, job seekers through our PES centers. We have 25 PES centers all around the island. So these PES centers are creating, a platform for job sourcing and delivery. We register job seekers and also the employers, and they can the employers have space to select suitable individuals for their vacancies. So at the moment we are doing this manually, but we are also taking discussions with the Korean government to establish online
automated system.
an automated system. So if it is become a reality, we can deliver the service more effectively in the future.
Okay. So what sort of measures has the Department of Manpower and the Ministry of Labour as a whole taken to address the current situation where a lot of professionals are leaving the country for greener pastures?
Yes. This is something like that I can say people are leaving the country because here we are having a crisis situation. So we cannot stop migration. You know, they are leaving the country. They are leaving the country because they are seeking better working conditions, better living conditions, quality education, and also for better salaries as well. So what we have to do is if we don't have those facilities in Sri Lanka, we have to provide them. But as a department, you know that the circular is issued by the Public Administrative Ministry regarding that granting 5 years
overseas work leave.
Yes. So the initial proposal was prepared by the Department of Manpower. And initially we thought of we proposed actually apply this only for non-executive staff, those tertiary and secondary and primary staff. That includes the KKs, drivers, clerical staff, and DOs. There are a huge amount of DOs, development officers. But when the circular issued, the things got a little bit changed, and it applies to the whole public sector.
As well.
Yes.
Right. So, can you just tell me how the Ministry of Labour and the Department of Manpower, like you said in your opening remarks, that it compiles information regarding the labour market. Concerning labour migration, can you tell me how many, do you have statistics, have you compiled statistics of how many skilled professionals have left the country, how much you need, how many people you need to retain and so on?
Yes, I don't have that much of information, but I can say that in 2022 it is recorded nearly 300,000 employees left the country for jobs. And
is this overall or only from the state sector?
Overall. In this year, in 2023, from January to May, it is recorded as it is 73,000, around 73,000 for now. And recently I heard that GMOA stated that it is 477 doctors left the country for past 8 months. So this somewhat huge amount. Actually, Sri Lanka is experiencing this throughout past decades, but with this current crisis,
Right. So, can you tell me what the Department of Manpower is doing in terms of providing career guidance to younger people who are just breaking into the job market? Are there any facilities in place to cater to such career guidance opportunities and also to allow them to hone their skills and be better equipped when they come into the job market? What sort of arrangements do you have with, say, state universities, for example, to integrate them into the job market easier in a better way?
When it comes to career guidance is a mandatory subject for the Department of Manpower, as I said before. We offer career guidance services through our PES centers, as I said before. We have 528 career guidance officers and human resource development officers. They are conducting career guidance, mainly career awareness programs targeted in school children, and personalized, customized career guidance services for job seekers who came to their job centers. Those job centers are established in district secretariat, all 25 districts, covering all 25 districts. And at the moment the problem was department carry out these things throughout last 13 years, but people didn't aware much about this. So we use our social media platform to reach the younger generation and promote these awareness programs and services through social media. We have the Facebook page and a YouTube channel called Inspired Career, and also we use TikTok and LinkedIn to aware people. Actually, and also we have career key tests. We use career key test to identify the potential of a school children or job seeker or any individual, and to smooth the career guidance services. So we recently made a online system to carry out the career guidance, career key test. Initially we did it manually. Now last year we initiated that system.
Right. So Shanika, talking about creating a workforce that is equipped to deal with the current requirement in the economy, we have seen and we've read about how Singapore was, when they were a developing nation, what they did was they identified certain areas which require the most amount of capital or human capital, and they educated their younger generation to be people who are required for such areas. So is there any sort of plan in place by the Department of Manpower and the Ministry of Labour to identify key areas that require more number of skilled employees and to train people or to train students in order to fill those gaps in the future?
Yeah, actually we are working with chambers and also what do you call EFC, Employee Federation of Ceylon, to identify the trend of the labor market. We have continuous discussions with them, and also we work with universities, university career guidance centers.
Units,
units, yes. And also we are actually now creating, there are ongoing discussion to create labor market information system, because we are lacking data. That's the problem. It is very important to have data. We need data to see the trend, and then we can create the workforce according to that.
Tell me a bit about how you are working towards obtaining that data and also setting up a database, putting in, introducing a system that is able to collect accurate data to identify relevant areas that require more skilled personnel. Just elaborate on that, please.
Yes. Data in the sense we need, actually at the moment Sri Lanka having more art graduates. We are focusing on promoting STEM education. The data we need in every age, you know that in O levels we can see so many dropouts from O levels and A levels. So recently we have a discussion with Ministry of Education and Ministry of Department of Examination, and we collect data related to school dropouts.
Right.
And we use our officers to collect those data and find those students and provide them career guidance, and if they require the vocational training, provide those services too. And through that we thought of reduce the unemployment and increase the employability of the country. Such kind of initiatives are taken.
Right. So, Shanika, since you are also from the state sector, I want to ask you this question, because a lot of factions have claimed that the public sector in Sri Lanka is bloated. They say we have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are about 1.5 million state workers in Sri Lanka currently. And one of the key areas that a lot of people are harping on that requires reforms is the state sector in the country. So what sort of a role does the manpower department play in maybe trimming down the state sector, but also allowing individuals that are in the state sector to be more versatile, to fulfill a number of duties and responsibilities in order to streamline the state sector in the future?
The thing is, there's a problem in the government sector, that is we do not act collaboratively. There are so many ministries, departments and institutions, public institutions, that we doesn't know each other. Some works are repeat. The Department of Manpower in the previous ages, we have done that entrepreneurship development.
Right.
And there we know that there's a separate division in the youth ministry called SED. They also doing the entrepreneurship development, something like that. So we came to know that recently there were 81 public sector institutes who work related to promote this entrepreneurship development.
So it's not streamlined at all, is it?
Yeah. That so we want to know each other and avoid repetition of the work. And recently we prepared a concept paper and gave it to a parliamentary committee, and recently they have some discussion related to this, to avoid this and work collaboratively. So I miss your question, I guess.
Yeah, so my essentially the basis of my question was how we can make state sector employees more versatile in order to trim down on the workforce in the state sector, so that a less number of people can carry out multiple duties and functions.
Yes. The thing is, we promote entrepreneurship. We do not create entrepreneurs, but we promote. There are institutions to promote entrepreneurship. So like that, and in schools we do not promote public sector. But most of the people willing to join public sector because of the pension. So but it is useless, and we promote in schools. Then we go to schools and speak to children, and we telling them, interact with them, and we giving them example from the globe, and that this kind of storytelling, they not want to know the world, that people in the rural areas, they are not much interact with the internet, and they doesn't know the world. So through that we are trying to give them aware them what sort of things, that the opportunities around the world. So that's the things we are doing at the moment.
Right. Okay. So we are in conversation with Shanika Mayadurne, Deputy Director, Department of Manpower, attached to the Ministry of Labour. We will continue the conversation after the short commercial break. Stay tuned to the People's Platform. there is now a greater need for companies to get closer to the customer.
That Sri Lanka has not really expanded avenues of earning foreign exchange.
Right. The global perspective and how traditionally value chains have been formed and designed.
Our export strategy has always been out of sync with global trends.
There are certain difficulties in Sri Lanka in terms of doing business.
Commitment of a country to improve its own competitiveness.
The People's Platform, every Monday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. on TV1.
But our main grouse fear is that this bill as it is being brought to suppress the people.
After the recent Aragale, then after the IMF deal, now this government, especially the Ranil Wickremesinghe government, believe they want to curtail the democratic rights of the people.
We are very suspicious as to why this particular bill has come up at this particular moment, the need for it, in what context this is being brought with such urgency.
You will have DIGs issuing detention orders, and we know that there has been a history of abuse by the police. So giving that power to the DIGs I see it as extremely problematic.
So there was no involvement of any politicians or you as the minister on
Not at all.
this bill?
Not at all. Once they completed the draft, I myself studied it, that I wanted to make few adjustments.
Face the Nation, Wednesday nights at 9:30 on TV1.
Welcome back to the People's Platform. We are in conversation with Shanika Mayadunne, Deputy Director attached to the Department of Manpower at the Ministry of Labour. Shanika, right before we crossed over to the commercial break, we were talking about the public sector and how we can make it more efficient. I would like to delve deeper into that topic and ask you what sort of actions, what sort of measures can be taken for Sri Lanka's public sector to be made more efficient?
There are, there now in the public sector there are 1.5 million employees. It's somewhat high, very much high. Recently, with various governments recruited people politically.
Right.
So initially we have taken steps through that public administrative circular by allowing them to take leave from the public sector and go for foreign jobs or whatever they like. So now what we need is to reduce the amount and restructure the departments and the organization. If we take the Department of Manpower, we have 600 plus employees.
Right.
So it is somewhat high. What we are thinking at the moment is it is better to attach them in the divisional and district level, and we actually at the head office we have more than 100 employees. It's not necessary that much. So if we take the Department of Manpower, it is an organization where develop policies.
Right.
So we need actually, for an example, we need some few executive staff, that's enough, statisticians to analyze labor market information and something like that. That means only 25 people are enough to carry out the function. So that is why we are thinking, and we are at the moment we are writing a concept paper regarding this. We have to reduce the employees, allowing them to join whatever they like, and we have a huge structural reform towards all the organizations.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so let's talk about bilateral partnerships between other nations. There are partnerships between Sri Lanka and other countries, particularly Japan and South Korea, where workers from or employees from Sri Lanka go to those countries and obtain experience. How has that progressed over the years? Have you all struck more deals for such agreements for our labor to be sent abroad, obtain experience and to bring them back in turn? What's the progress on that?
Actually, what do you call labor? Within the Labour Department, we are Department of Manpower is functioning, and also Foreign Employment Bureau. There's a Foreign Employment Bureau. So the Foreign Employment Bureau is the main body who engage in this. Recently, I don't have a statistic at the moment, but we have agreement with Korea and Japan to what do you call share employees? Yes, to share employees. At the moment, we are promoting this also through the Department of Manpower. The bureau conducting classes for Japanese language. They need, the thing is, they are the huge quota, a big amount. I can't remember exact amount, but people in 2021, I guess, I can't remember exactly, but only 3 people went through the bureau to Japan, because most people are do not take in the classes, and there's a what do you call that, there's a level to achieve
level of Japanese language proficiency that you must achieve before you are enabled to go for employment there. So why do you think that is? Is there a breakdown in communication, or are the people unaware that they have this opportunity but they are not willing to undergo those classes for them to unlock that opportunity?
Both. They are, the main reason is in rural areas the classes are not conducted in rural areas. Then if you take Ratnapura district, classes are conducted in Ratnapura city, but the people who live in the edge of the district, they cannot come
access the classes.
That's the problem. So it is necessary to establish
branch out to them. So have you looked at maybe introducing remote learning methods such as learning through Zoom and so on, because we know how through COVID remote learning became a big hit. So has that aspect been looked into?
Yes, it is happening at the moment. The Foreign Bureau conducting sessions through Zoom, but the thing is most of the areas do not have access to internet.
Right.
That's the main problem. So, but however, we are taking those classes under the guidance of our secretary and the minister, but there are some issues at the moment.
Right. So earlier on in the program, you said that a lot of the people who are interested in joining the public sector are only attracted to it because of the pension scheme. But we know that for a country to function smoothly and also for an economy to thrive, we need to have a very strong public sector, because all of the ministries, all of the other roles and duties must be carried out by individuals that have a higher cognition or higher capacity to actually go out and get things done. So how do you think that we can move ahead to make the public sector as attractive as the private sector, Shanika? What are your thoughts on that?
For that, everything must have to change. Even the look of the department, and we have to, most importantly, work hard, we have to work smart, we have to deliver efficient services without throwing files away, we have to act quickly, we have to respond them quickly, we have to develop such kind of ethics among the employees, and also government has to allocate more money, because the thing is, however, the people are attracted to the pension, but they have very less salaries.
Right.
So
Compared to the private
compared
sector.
to the private sector. So they think it is enough working a few hours for their salaries.
Right.
That's the problem.
So, okay, they believe that the remuneration they get
Yes.
is not enough for the work that they put in. Therefore, they tend to laze around, maybe. I don't want to use that word, but they tend to laze around. That
Yes.
creates, in turn, an inefficient public sector.
Yes.
So, you believe remuneration will be an incentive to give them more motivation to work harder?
Yes.
What other aspects would
Because
you like to...
because the salaries is not enough even to
to run a month.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Their travel expenses, they to look after their children.
Right.
It's not enough actually. So yeah, it has to be done, and of course the need to train. The continuous training is essential, because I know in the Department of Manpower, the career guidance officers had training when they enter into the service department at the very beginning in first batch in 1999. After that, they haven't
received any sort of training, which means that they are not up to date with latest trends. And
most of them, some are searching for the information, you know, entering few courses and finding them. There are opportunities, but we have to have proper agenda for that.
Right. Although there are opportunities, one, people might be unaware of them, and two, those opportunities are few and far between. Right. We're unfortunately closing in on the end of the show, but I must ask you, Shanika, one last question before we wrap up. Performance indicators, they are a massive part of the private sector with which a company's employee is judged by for their performance. Has the public sector or the Ministry of Manpower, Labour and the Department of Manpower looked into introducing performance indicators to the public sector?
Yeah. That's another point that I missed earlier. At the moment, the president from the president secretariat, they are developing the KPI for all the ministries in the country. So each ministry take KPIs, and from ministry they given to the all the institutions under the ministry those KPIs. Then the department has to develop KPIs for their employees. That's what Manpower Department.
So it's a work in progress. When do you assume the final plan will be rolled out?
Maybe end of this year.
End of this year. Right. We were in conversation with Shanika Mayadunna, Deputy Director, Department of Manpower, attached to the Ministry of Labour, especially in terms of the exodus of skilled professionals and labour migration as a whole in Sri Lanka. We talked about the solutions that we can adopt to retain our workforce, and also to make the public sector more efficient, and also to encourage more people to join the public sector, which is in turn made more efficient. Unfortunately, that brings us to the wrap of our show for tonight, and we will see you next week with another episode of the People's Platform. Take care and have yourselves a great weekend.